Is this correct that this was your title, the Senior Advisor to National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, former Director, Dr. Anthony Fauci?
I think my title is Senior Advisor to the Director, National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases.
Okay. And how long did you work with Dr. Fauci, or for him?
26 years.
And you'd also consider him a personal friend?
No, I mean,
No?
you know, he's a colleague, and Tony
Okay.
is a very, private guy. He doesn't have a lot of. I've never gone out with him to have a beer.
Now, you mentioned Peter Daszak is a personal friend
Yes.
for 20 years. Is that correct?
Probably a little less than 20 years, but somewhere in that range.
Okay. And your statement today still is that you did not intend to avoid FOIA,
Yes, sir.
in spite of the several emails we have saying otherwise. Is that correct?
I think it's correct, but I'm not, there's some elements of this, that I don't think are being understood.
And you
can't
just said that
avoid
you
FOIA.
did no official business on your Gmail account. Is that correct?
I tried to make sure I never did official business.
Hey, that's not what you just said a few minutes ago. You said you never did. You said the purpose of this was for personal.
Well,
Here's an email from Peter to you. Attached is a single sheet with bullets explaining why Dr. Tabak was wrong and hopefully convincing folks at NIH to stop criticizing EHA's reporting compliance. Please don't share this letter yet. We'll edit that and get it to NIH by Tuesday, hopefully. You replied, Peter, this is an excellent draft. I will suggest some wordsmithing tweets later today. He said, thanks for the comments, David. I'll incorporate them today. Do you think that's not official business?
I'd have to look at it. I don't know
Okay, this is related, EHA's Echo Health, is that right?
Yeah, but I mean, yes.
Okay, so this is an organization who got a government grant that you're supposed to be overseeing, right?
I don't have any grant oversight.
Well, NIH.
NIH does, but I'm.
Sure, and you are the senior advisor to the head of.
Right, but I have no involvement in any grants, in any aspect of any grants.
Sure.
And I don't know whether what you're referring to is a grant that was already funded or an application that a friend.
Do you not see that it's a conflict of interest for you to be advising someone who's working to get a federal grant on how they're communicating and approaching and even suggesting tweet revisions?
I think it would be a conflict of interest, as I understand it. Helping somebody.
Is that why you used your Gmail instead of your official mail for communication with Peter?
Well, using my Gmail was for a different purpose. That was for avoiding more embarrassment and danger to him.
And specifically, as your emails say, avoiding FOIA, correct?
No, well, yeah, I guess you could say that. Avoiding him sending something that had nothing to do with NIH business, but could be FOIA'd and embarrass him.
Okay, now there's been this dialogue that, you're the one bad apple in a whole bunch. Before, our last hearing, the communication was Peter was the one bad apple out of a whole bunch. Who was the FOIA lady that you mentioned?
I think Marg Moore.
Right.
Marg is in Margaret.
Okay, what instructions, what tips did she give you about avoiding FOIA?
Well, she gave me none about avoiding FOIA. That was a joke. But what she did say to me was, well, let me back up a little bit.
You sure about that? Are you sure about that? We can subpoena her email too,
Yeah.
We can, and we can call her to witness as well. So
Yeah,
make
okay.
sure your
Well,
testimony is accurate.
I'm telling you what I know and remember, and it's the truth as far as I know it. When Peter had...
Do you think you're the first employee that she gave advice on how to avoid FOIA?
She didn't give me advice about how to avoid FOIA. Let me finish.
You said she gave you advice on how to avoid.
That's what I said, because I was sort of...
So you were lying then, but you're telling us the truth now.
I wasn't lying. I was making a joke with Peter. I said something like, I have a way to make it go away, but that was just a euphemism. May I tell you what she told me?
Sure.
I was worried, because I was getting so many FOIAs, I was worried that personal things were going to get into it. So I went and talked to her and says, how does this work? Because at that point in time, I had no involvement in FOIAs. What happened, if I was going to be FOIA'd, the FOIA office would notify me and say, do we have your permission to do a FOIA investigation? And I'd say yes, and that's the end of what I heard. But I was worried that these personal things would get caught up in it. So I asked her how it worked. And she said, well, you really don't have to worry about personal things, because when there's a FOIA request, We, the FOIA office, negotiate to limit the scope of what they're looking for to, among other things, make sure that inadvertent stuff doesn't get in there.
You said a comment earlier that concerned me. You know, the relationship between your organization, NIH, and Echo Health should be one of oversight. And you said, to start off this hearing, you said, we all felt it was our job to cheer Peter up. I'm just really concerned because Peter even admitted the last time that he did not do a good job of overseeing the grant that went to the Wuhan lab. It's clear that our government did not do a good job of overseeing Echo Health. And it's, to me, speaks to the culture that is at issue here when you think your job, instead of oversight, is to make sure that we're cheering up the people we should be overseeing. Thank you, Chairman. I yield back.